Man, so it looked like that funny meme of Drewski in the Diddy house stealing his drinks turned out to be a little bit more than that. Well, at least that's what the allegations are. And as somebody who's a fan of Drewski, man, this is kind of crazy. I don't know too much about it. I've seen some things on it, but hopefully this video will explain it. This is the video is called Druski Allegations. Link to the original video down in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comments about everything I say. Do you think he's innocent or guilty? But either way, we're gonna check it out because it's part of the Diddy trial, and I did say we were going to cover anything Diddy related. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
So Druski has been an up-and-coming star for around the last 4 years. He was ushered into the internet game around the same time as his good friend Jack Harlow, and it was like as Jack was rising up the ranks of music, Druski was rising up the ranks of comedy. During that time, he has become the most infamous skit comedian online, and this has obviously afforded him many opportunities, including his own show, countless sponsorships and commercials, features in movies, steak and Happy Dad alcohol beverages, a feature on 2K, a comedy tour, and frequent collaborations with the biggest streamers.
Which, by the way, not to mean I sound like a hater, but based on what's going on with Diddy, and I guess how close he is to a lot of these, like a lot of people in general, through agents and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out if someone else in this room is part of the Diddy stuff. I'm just saying it now, and it might be Kevin Hart, but who knows?
And comedians in the world. Basically, this man became a cash cow, as Druski has an insane ability to take everyday situations and types of people and turn them into a viral skit or a meme. And his comedy just has this way of reflecting and predicting in real life situations. But now Druski has found himself.
Yes, there's the video, which also, just to say, to give him credit, somehow people let him actually, for example, he did the TSA skit and he had an actual TSA uniform and was at an actual airport doing that. So how do people let him get away with that stuff? Is crazy.
Wrapped up in the Diddy situation, as he and his friend and popular wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., have been listed in some of these Diddy accusations. But the claims they are throwing around here are honestly so outlandish that it almost makes this hard to believe. Now, yesterday was when this bombshell would hit the timeline. In the matter of Ashley Parham versus Sean Diddy Combs, an amended complaint names 2 more plaintiffs and several additional defendants, including Odell Beckham Jr., Druski, and a myriad of other people. So previously,
Which, by the way, I've seen them. I'm going to try not to laugh because this could be serious. Because again, everyone said that the Diddy allegations weren't true, like the baby oil parties and like you know what I mean? Like he's clawing and scratching daddy, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff, everybody said it was fake. But then it turned out to be pretty much true. Again, the trial has to happen before we can actually say it's true. So it's allegations, of course, but they have weight to them. So I'm trying not to laugh, but I'm already smiling because it's crazy. It's so ridiculous.
it was just Ashley Parham versus Sean Diddy Combs, and then a couple John Does that were not listed. And now those John Does, the main ones, have been listed as Druski and Odell Beckham Jr. In total, Druski's name is actually listed 45 different times in this lawsuit. But these are the key details that really make everyone think that this is pretty far-fetched. Defendant Diddy then instructed another defendant Doe to also violate plaintiff defendant Doe, who has been determined to be defendant Druski, is what they're alleging. They say instead of immediately violating the plaintiff, defendant Druski doused plaintiff with more oil and lubricant and then jumped on top of the plaintiff's naked and oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide, and knocking the wind out of the plaintiff due to his enormous size. So they're saying Druski was in there slipping and sliding all around.
So he just like imagine belly flopped on the plaintiff, all oiled up. I shouldn't be laughing because these are allegations, but look, all I'm saying is that they come out to be true. I'm not surprised. Okay, I'm not going to defend the guy, but this is kind of if he's innocent, either way, this is it's so hilarious. Just the envisioning what the fuck's going on.
Defendant Druski then caught himself from sliding over the plaintiff's oiled body, and off the bed, he then began violating the plaintiff through her reproductive parts.
Which I shouldn't be laughing. Holy fuck. It's just this whole thing is ridiculous.
While defendant Druski was violating the plaintiff, defendant Diddy sat in a chair near the bed and began pleasuring himself while recording plaintiff's violation by defendant Druski. Another
This whole thing is effed up.
party's phone fell on the bed near the plaintiff. The plaintiff then attempted to grab the phone, but it slipped out of her hands and onto the floor due to the oil/lubricant that had been doused all over her person by defendants Diddy and Druski. Obviously, at this point, the baby oil is like infamous in this Diddy case. For those of you who don't remember, they claimed that they discovered over 1,000 bottles of laced baby oil in Diddy's house.
And they seized cases and cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs. More than 1,000 bottles altogether.
Remember, everyone said the freak-offs were fake, and then here we are, okay? So I'm trying to be fair and balanced. Not, again, I don't defend the guy, but because I don't know him, but dang. Not only did they call him a criminal, but they called him the worst thing possible. Fat. Which, by the way, did y'all remember the Costco thing where they're like, and he got all that oil from Costco, and Costco's like, nah, we don't sell baby oil. Don't put that on us.
Defendant Diddy began laughing at plaintiff's attempt to grab the phone. Throughout this violent gang violation, defendant Diddy made constant belittling remarks to plaintiff, including that he owned her now. When defendant Druski was finished violating the plaintiff, defendant KK entered the room to examine the condition of the plaintiff, who was barely able to move or control her bodily functions. And they say this is when they attached her to an IV and pretty much brought her back to life, made sure she wasn't gonna die. And that was apparently when Diddy, Shane, who is apparently the man who introduced Diddy to this person, KK, Odell, and Druski then exited the residence to the backyard where they smoked marijuana and cigarettes. And so obviously this all had the internet going absolutely wild.
I mean, again, it's really dark, but it's not surprising. It wouldn't be surprising.
Of course, people immediately started resurfacing old clips of Diddy hanging out with Druski.
Don't mind if I do.
They were basically saying that this clip hits different now, as it was
It
also
does.
rumored that Diddy had been lacing drinks at his infamous parties.
I wouldn't, shot.
Druski was also asked at one point what it was like to attend these Diddy parties.
You ever been to one of Diddy parties? Yeah, I've been in attendance. I've been in attendance. Not, hey, what the fuck you smirking for?
ain't seen that.
I've been in attendance.
We just asking regular
That's all I said.
questions.
That's all I said. I said I've been in attendance. I have been in attendance.
We never been. We just asking.
We just
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. As soon as you asked, he said,
You have fun?
I ain't seen that
"Yeah,
yet.
you did."
I ain't seen that.
Yeah, I had fun. Yeah, I mean, it was a party. I wasn't at one of them parties.
Oh, we ain't seen- what
We
party
ain't seen
did
that
you-
motherfucking party.
What party you talking about?
Niggas, y'all
What
smiling too
party
much.
you talking about?
I have been in attendance at a puff party. You know what I'm saying? I've been in attendance. Yeah, I went. Yeah, the party I went to, it was girls turn up. You know what I'm saying? The regular. You know what I mean? Other celebrities and shit. Yeah,
That's what you know.
Now, obviously,
I don't know.
Druski does like to troll. Yes, his body language became a little bit uncomfortable, but you do have to keep in mind that thousands of different people have been to these Diddy parties, allegedly.
Allegedly, and in the words of LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, the face of the NBA, there is no party like a Diddy party. Again, by LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, the face of the NBA, I quote, said, "There is no party like a Diddy party."
And obviously, when they're all asked about it, they all say, well, you know, I went to the Diddy party, but I didn't go to like the Diddy party, like the behind the doors party that was going on. So then I started questioning, well, what was Diddy's real relationship with Druski? And as you guys can see here, back in 2021, Druski did have this show called Sneaking In with Druski. And upon further inspection, you can see that this was airing on Revolt. which was a media network that was primarily owned and founded by Sean Diddy Combs.
Of course.
And although he no longer owns any shares in the company, back in 2021, he was still running that shit, and he presumably gave that opportunity to his boy Druski. I also thought that this little tidbit was interesting because Odell Beckham Jr. and Druski have been friends for quite a few years now. Baltimore
Yes.
Ravens wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. struck up a friendship with Druski upon finding his videos and invited the comedian to stay at his home during the COVID-19 pandemic. And obviously, the pandemic was back in early 2020, and that's where these dates really start not matching up because the defendant is saying that this happened on March 23rd, 2018, way before Druski was even remotely famous or
That's not true. He started gaining popularity in 2017.
known online, where the defendant says that this guy Shane invited the plaintiff over to his home to assist him with his cancer medications because he stated he was weak and unable to open his medications. She says upon her arrival that this guy Shane wanted to give her a ride in his new car, and she says this is when this guy Shane pretty much set her up for the violation that allegedly involved Diddy, Druski, and OBJ. Now, much like with Jay-Z with his recent Diddy Accusations, Druski would respond swiftly to this filing, where he says the allegation is a fabricated lie. I wasn't a public figure in 2018. I was broke and living with my mom without any connections to the entertainment industry at the time of this allegation, so the inclusion of my name is truly outlandish. My heart breaks for actual victims of abuse, but I'm fully confident that the evidence will expose this falsehood and the individuals who are maliciously trying to game the legal system to peddle false narratives. So he kind of has the same stance that Jay-Z had back a couple months ago, saying this whole thing is a bunch of bullshit and the timeline isn't even really adding up. And of course, when something like this comes out, you're going to have a lot of people running with the story, like this tweet that went viral where this girl says, I can't believe hashtag Odell Beckham Jr. and hashtag Druski are in this new Diddy lawsuit taking turns violating this girl. Wow. You had other popular hip-hop and media pages saying Druski did what? The same sentiment is shared here, ironically including this misinformation meme. Then you had people using Druski's own skits against him, like this guy who says there's no way that this Druski shit is real.
There's no way.
Basically saying that that was Druski's reaction to this information. Another user says Druski after someone didn't give him consent.
Fuck, dude.
This guy specifically seems to really be leading the charge when it comes to these Druski jokes about this very serious situation. He says Druski's lawyer right now.
We got good and bad news. Good news, we got your payment, buddy. Bad news, they gave you life.
So yeah, it's just crazy to see this guy's own skits and various statements being used against him at this point, even if it is a joke. These are the type of things.
Here's the deal. Sorry, I was looking something up on the side. I mean, the memes are crazy. I just think it's hilarious. But I hate giving an opinion on this, but I actually don't think this might be true. Because, and I don't know if it's just me being biased, because I actually do like Druski's comedy, and I think he's funny. And much more relatable than most of these celebrities. But would I be surprised if it turned out to be true? No. Considering how much we don't know about the Diddy trial and how much it seems like nobody wants to talk about it suddenly when everybody was buddies with him. This guy got the key to the city, all right? So, I mean, not Druski, but Diddy, right? To New York. So, the guy... This whole like suddenly everyone doesn't know what's going on. It's kind of only makes things more believable, if that makes sense. Because again, why would LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, the face of the NBA, really, say that there is no party like a Diddy party? It's just weird.
Things that people try to get off online and they do end up going viral. And it's really all just for a couple little Twitter shekels and a little bit of clout. Like it's not
Twitter
worth making this type
shekels.
of weird shitty joke, whether you believe he's guilty for some reason or not. Because honestly, I think it's a whole bunch of nonsense. And it leads to other people making more serious statements like this. Okay, so now that Druski was named in the Diddy lawsuit for gang violation, this creepy skit he made in 2022 about guys getting girls drunk to have sex with them is aging so horribly. And it's like, does the person that posted this not understand that the entire point of this skit was to pretty much dog out guys that act like this? Like
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, dissecting comedy after the fact is a little like if he had a show that was like, um, who was it? Let's say someone like, let's say it was something like the Boondocks, right? Where some of the stories in the Boondocks were actual things that happened, right? Where and then you're like, oh, it's so weird that this story is very specific, and then it comes out later that it turned out to be true, which is like, for example, the Usher story. If he had a show that was not like these are skits based on what really happened, but if he was doing skits on stuff or show on things that are like fictional, but he was embellishing it with real things, that would be different. But this whole criticizing of his comedy is just kind of lame. If anything, it's again, like he says, it's he's kind of making fun of that. That's kind of the point.
The whole point of the skit is to say the guys who act like this are pieces of shit. Now, here is a clip from 4 months ago of this news network and of the lawyer representing this woman, Ashley Parham, in this case, and now these other two Jane Does, speaking on behalf of her client and the entire situation.
Well, her attorney says she was in her 30s at the time of this alleged violent attack. It happened just about half a mile away from the Orinda police station here in a quiet neighborhood about 6 years ago.
So yeah, 6 years ago, long before Druski was known at all.
Ashley Parham says in 2018, Diddy and his entourage violently gangbang style her in Orinda. Her attorney, Ariel Mitchell, says it all started when she met a man named Shane Pierce in a bar in Contra Costa County, who began a FaceTime call with Diddy.
She actually made a quip about Mr. Combs having something to do, that she didn't like him because he had something to do with Tupac's murder.
The lawsuit says Parham believed Pierce invited her over to set her up to be by Diddy. The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office told us in a statement, a report was taken on March 23rd, 2018. We take these cases seriously, and detectives thoroughly investigated the accusations. It was later determined the claims were unfounded.
And that does make things a little bit more interesting for me, because obviously a legitimate report was made at that time, but even back then the police say, well, we found no wrongdoing. As a matter of fact, they're saying we don't believe this ever even happened.
She also reported the incident to Walnut Creek Police and Orinda Police without naming Diddy, as she felt she would not be believed. The woman who lives there confirms Pierce lived there, but that he was too sick with cancer and ALS to have done this. She also says Pierce did not know Diddy.
So they're saying this guy has not only cancer, but also ALS. Now, if I really want to get into my conspiracy bag, I want to note here that I think that this all could just be a mastermind smokescreen being set by Diddy and his legal team. It's like Pokemon, okay? The accuracy goes down once you set the smokescreen. Because recently, the case against Jay-Z has been dropped without prejudice, which I believe means that they cannot, try to bring it back up in court. They cannot try Jay-Z again for the same thing. Obviously, there was a lot of holes in the timeline of that story. The accuser's own father said that he doesn't remember any of that taking place. And overall, the timeline and the series of events, especially when she came out on that news segment, just really were not adding up. And when the decision by the judge was made public and that entire thing was dismissed, Sean Combs' legal team would put out this statement. Today's complete dismissal by the 1-800.
So we're really looking at something that his team is purposely, I don't know. I mean, either way, he is that powerful of an individual. So let's say, so his theory is you have his team basically pressuring these lawyers to do false allegations that then get thrown out to then build a case that to make it seem like the things around Diddy are just, it's untrue, because if everyone around him is not guilty, then how can he be guilty, right? But man, I don't know. That's actually a good theory. But I have the theory that if any of these are true, first off, if this turns out to be true, and let's say it's not Druski, that means there's someone that had to do this. There's someone that is a part of this, and there was quite a few other names on there. So I'm surprised that they're not talking about that. But the thing is, it's like, no matter how you look at this situation, let's take Druski aside. Let's take everybody aside. There allegedly this did happen. Allegedly there are tapes. There are cases and footage and evidence of these Diddy parties happening. So it's kind of like the Epstein stuff. It happened. So we cannot pretend like none of these things did not happen. With the Jay-Z stuff, that might have not happened. that specific case, but to just assume that nothing, he was never a part of the issue, never a part of it. I don't know, brother. Come on, man. These two were like this. They were like this. So you're gonna tell they were together, they were buddies, they were homies, they were like yin and yang. So like you're gonna sit there and tell me that Jay-Z wasn't a part of it at some point? That's what I'm saying. So I think like when I first saw the Druski stuff, I was like, this doesn't seem true. That's crazy. And yes, he was popular in set 2017. But to have the celebrity connections, I don't know. I never saw him. He wasn't doing any TikToks like that. So because again, you could be popular and not have connections. So I don't think it's true, but at the same time, like this theory of maybe it's just a bunch of smoke screens. But also you got to remember to give credit to Diddy, people might have tried to bring these allegations up, but were silenced. And you're saying like, well, they would never be that corrupt. We only found out that they are. So there's just so much that this can go. And either way, I think, I hope Druski is not a part of this. This is just my opinion. I hope he's not a part of this because it would really bum me out. But I think going forward, he's going to start having to realize that, like, put yourself in a, like, be better about who you're around, really.
Attorney is yet another confirmation that these lawsuits are built on falsehoods, not facts. For months, we have seen case after case filed by individuals hiding behind anonymity, pushed forward by an attorney more focused on media headlines than legal merit. Just like this claim, the others will fall apart because there is no truth to them. Sean Combs has never essayed or trafficked anyone, man or woman, adult or minor. No number of lawsuits, sensationalized allegations, or media theatrics will change that reality. We will continue to fight these baseless claims and hold those responsible for these false claims. This is just the first of many that will not hold up in the court of law. And that's why I have the feeling that this entire thing is a bit of a smokescreen. Because if you have enough of these outrageous allegations coming out, it allows you to kind of start poking holes and giving a little bit of reasonable doubt to accusations that could actually be legit. And it's like the more outlandish they get, like describing Druski as using her as a slip and slide and then the timeline not adding up at all, it just hurts the case for people who are possibly actual victims of abuse at the hands of P. Diddy. And at this point, it's like Diddy seems so seemingly stuck in this corner that it's like that's all they can do to kind of like alter the public perception a little bit. And as these cases start getting knocked down and dismissed, it kind of starts the social programming and people start to think, well, maybe these other things aren't real either. And obviously on the other end of the spectrum, you're going to have a whole bunch of people just bringing up false claims because they want a payday, they want a settlement. It's just the way they describe the entire series of events just seems a little bit too outlandish for me personally to believe. And I think that it could definitely hurt real victims in this case. Either way, I want to know what you guys think about these accusations down below. As always, also want to thank you guys for watching today's video, dropping a like and subscribing. But as you guys know, it's been your boy, the Tan Superman. And some other lawsuits out here need to be covered. So I'm out.
I don't know. I'm kind of torn on all this. Not specifically with Druski. But at the end of the day, for me, again, we got to stop acting like we don't have to believe every single allegation, but we have to recognize that there's serious allegations still on Diddy. And there's evidence and there's creepy ass videos and there's testimonials by LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, face of the NBA, saying that there is no party like a Diddy party. So I don't know. I just think that things do connect. We don't know everybody that's involved, even though we know there was tons of people involved. We're gonna have to see, and I hope it's all made public and we don't hide things anymore, because what happened with the Epstein files, to me, it's just like, it's astonishing that you have such a high profile case with high profile names and none of it comes out, and we're all hyper aware that it exists. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Check out the next one. Bye-bye. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.